Reese, what they're doing in the W right now. As someone who loves some good trash talk, what do you think of what's going on with that rivalry?
I love it. I love it. I think basketball in the women's game, we've had rivalries for forever.
Yeah.
You know, we've had competitiveness, we've had trash talk, you name it. It just wasn't getting the looks. It wasn't getting, you know, people weren't covering it. So the fact that these two, they literally stole the college stage, both with their play and their trash talk, and then they're taking it into the WNBA. It's just going to mean good things for the rest of the landscape of women's basketball. So I'm all for it. I think it's great.
It was never supposed to feel this awkward, but the more you watch, the harder it is to ignore what is really happening. One player looks like she is preparing for a takeover, while the other seems stuck managing a tension that will not sit still. Then Sue Bird added her voice to the chaos, and suddenly the conversation shifted from hype to something much more uncomfortable. So now the real question is, was this ever a fair comparison, or did we all miss what actually matters?
When you literally go on Twitter and you search Rookie of the Year, Angel Reese, it is like everybody talking about why she's not a good basketball player. Yes, okay, a lot of her rebounds are her own rebounds, but she's having a historic season just like Caitlin Clark is, and I think that she deserves a lot more credit than what she's getting.
Can we stop? See, so that right there is part of the problem. Let's stop comparing her to Caitlin Clark. Like, let's not compare her
I'm saying
season.
people are doing that. No, I said she's
true.
having a historic season. Just
Everybody walked into this rivalry thinking they already knew how the story would go, because it felt perfectly packaged from the start, with Angel Reese bringing the confidence, the personality, and the headline moments, while Caitlin Clark brought the cold, methodical dominance that quietly turns hype into results.
I do want to talk about your sport. The next Team USA women's team will be in the World Cup in Germany, but the one we just had at the Olympics, the biggest controversy wasn't about them on the court, but was about who made the team. And what I thought was kind of missing from the conversation was that this is the hardest basketball team on earth to make. If you're a male player and you're in the top 15 male basketball players in the world, you can make the 12-man US roster because at least 5 of those players in front of you belong to other countries.
Right, yeah, European.
But not so much with the women's game, right?
No, I mean, it's a gift and a curse, right?
It looked balanced, almost cinematic, like two different styles racing toward the same level of greatness. But somewhere along the way, that symmetry started to crack, and what once felt like a fair fight began to look like two completely different journeys unfolding under the same spotlight.
Caitlin kind of crashes out on the ref at USA Basketball.
Yes.
You guys know I would crash out on refs a lot. One thing Gino told us at USA Basketball, he said, listen, you guys are going to go out here and win gold for your country. He's like, you're not going to have all the endorsements like the men. And we didn't. But he said, you go out there and you win gold for your country anyway. And we were like, yeah, let's go win gold. They have that now. They will be on the Wheaties box. Caitlin, it probably was a bad call. But right now, you're going to be on the Wheaties box. Who cares if they miss one? You're wearing USA in your chest. It's a bigger stage. The whole world is watching. Kind of be like, okay. Give a little shrug. I'm like, I'm going to get this next one.
That is really interesting.
The funniest part of this whole situation is that everyone thought the rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark would be decided on the court. But somehow it turned into a battle between a camera flash and a jump shot. And right now the scoreboard is looking a little unbalanced.
Said, and not said it lightly, we could probably field another Olympic team, another World Cup team. And so sadly, that always leads to this idea of snubs.
Yes.
It's tough. There's been ones before. Candace Parker is probably the biggest one, in my opinion, in all of USA Basketball. But then it always comes down to who do you take off, right? And if you're willing, hey, listen, if you're somebody out there that's willing to pick one player to take someone off to put another on, by all means. For me personally, I look back at all of our Olympic teams, all of our World Cup teams. I don't know who I would take off.
Because while one side is lighting up arenas and dragging her team toward playoff relevance like it is a personal mission, the other side somehow managed to go viral for deleting Instagram posts faster than defenders can close out on a three-point shooter, which is not exactly the stat line fans were expecting when this rivalry first exploded into mainstream culture. And here is where things take a turn from mildly awkward to outright hilarious. Because just when the internet thought it had already formed its opinions, in steps Sue Bird, casually tossing gasoline on the fire with the kind of calm, veteran honesty that only someone with a legendary resume can get away with. Now, the public version of this rivalry has always been simple and a little too neat. Almost like a movie script that wrote itself before reality had a chance to catch up, because people love a good contrast. and this one practically markets itself without any help. On one side, you have the unapologetic personality, the fashion statements, the confidence that walks into a room before the player does. And on the other side, you have the gym rat archetype, the player who treats free throws like a personal vendetta and workouts like they are non-negotiable appointments with destiny. But then reality showed up, and reality does not care about aesthetics, algorithms, or perfectly curated highlight reels that live exclusively on social media.
Just like Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, but
Caitlin Clark is setting assist records. She's setting rebound rookie records.
They're very different things. And so I think that's where a lot of the hate comes in, if I can be honest. If we really want to resolve Angel receiving as much vitriol as she does, we have to separate the two, because right now they are conjoined. But Angel's game is very, very different than Caitlin's. If we're able to stop tying them together, I think way more people will appreciate the things that Angel does well, as opposed to defending the greatness that is Caitlin Clark and what she does well.
Reality cares about wins, production, and the uncomfortable truth that eventually the game exposes everything. And that is exactly where the conversation started to shift. Because while Caitlin Clark was busy turning practices into laboratories and games into statements, Angel Reese found herself at the center of a completely different kind of spotlight, the kind that has nothing to do with box scores and everything to do with perception. It did not happen all at once, which is what makes it even more interesting. Because at first it was just small things, little moments that felt harmless on their own, but started to add up in a way that fans could not ignore. What exactly matters more right now? Because while one player's highlight reel is filled with assists, deep-range shots, and tangible progress, the other's timeline started to look like a mix of lifestyle branding, online reactions, and damage control, which is not necessarily wrong, but it becomes a problem when the results on the court do not match the energy off it. And this is where Sue Bird did what veterans tend to do when they see something heading in the wrong direction, which is to step in and say the quiet part out loud in a way that is impossible to misinterpret.
Racism to the side. Black and white people, put it to the side. But yes, black people, you can be racist too. Unpopular opinions. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese would be fucking amazing together. Now hear me out. Put your racism to the side. Black and white people, put it to the side. But yes, black people, you can be racist too. Those two will actually be a perfect match. Like, Angel Reese ain't got to worry about scoring. She could just be, a dog. Caitlin Clark needs a rough ride.
Because her point was not complicated, and that is exactly why it hit so hard. At the highest level, attention is a side effect, not the main objective. You do not chase relevance, you earn it. And if the balance ever flips, where the brand starts to overshadow the performance, that is when things start to go sideways faster than anyone expects. And suddenly, what looked like harmless self-expression started to feel like a distraction, at least in the eyes of fans who were watching two completely different trajectories unfold in real time. Because while Caitlin Clark was stacking proof, the kind that shows up in standings and postseason conversations, Angel Reese was stuck answering questions that had nothing to do with basketball, which is never a good sign for an athlete trying to establish dominance in a league that does not hand out respect for free. Meanwhile, the comparison that everyone keeps trying to avoid refuses to go away, because once two players are linked by history, headlines, and one very unforgettable college moment, that connection does not just disappear because it becomes inconvenient.